Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gordon Lee. I'm the product marketing manager for summer here at Scholastic Education Solutions. We're going to start in a few minutes, but as you join, I see attendees are still coming in. I'll put this question in the chat. Where are you joining from today? We have some panelists from Ohio, from Illinois, and then from Jersey City. I'm based out in Oakland, California. I see some people from California, lots of places coming through. Thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to get going, and in a few minutes we'll kick it off. I'll introduce our panelists, and then I'll introduce our moderator and host, Michael Hagan. So we're at 2:02. I'm going to give it another minute before I do that. On the screen in front of you, you should see Bright Futures are Built in Summer. This is our goal here is to have an exciting, great conversation between our panelists and Michael around summer and summer learning. Jenny, could you move to the next slide, please? Okay, I'm going to give it one more minute, I think. Yeah, so welcome. We've got people from Colorado Springs, some people from Virginia, Illinois, Florida, Minnesota, LA, okay, Pennsylvania, Paso Robles, Texas, Las Vegas, lots of different locations across the country. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a very exciting presentation today. So some of our goals today, we're going to learn from our panelists about some of the solutions that they created for their summer programs, what's worked well for them, some of the do's and the don'ts perhaps, and they're going to communicate some of their best practices for summer learning. Above all, though, we really want to hear your thoughts and experiences so that we can share that for all. So please use the chat, raise your hand if you have a sort of a question. We really want to hear from you. We want this to be a conversation, the beginning of a discussion between Scholastic and people who are making decisions around summer learning across the country. So I think right now I'm going to go into, if you could move to the next slide, please. Okay, so I want to introduce you to our first panelist, Kristen Guarini. Kristen is a district coordinator of the Spark Summer program in Jersey City. She brings a wealth of experience over an 18-year tenure within the district. Commencing her career as a dedicated classroom teacher for grades 2 to 5, she transitioned into the role of a literacy coach, showcasing her commitment to educational excellence. In 2019, Kristen assumed the position of instructional specialist for the Jersey City Schools Curriculum and Instruction Department. In this capacity, she spearheaded comprehensive professional development initiatives, ensuring educators remained abreast of the latest educational trends. Offering invaluable in-class support, Kristen equipped teachers with proven best practices, thereby enhancing overall classroom instruction. Currently, as the district coordinator for the Sparks Summer program, Kristen plays an instrumental role in orchestrating and facilitating captivating summer learning experiences. Her dedication to fostering a positive learning environment has been a driving force behind the growth and success of the Jersey City Public Schools District. Welcome, Kristen. We look forward to talking with you today. Next slide, please, Yannick. I'm very excited to introduce Lindsay Soudal, who's the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning at East Main District 63 Des Plaines. This is a suburban school district located outside of Chicago, Illinois. She has over 18 years of experiences in educating grades pre-K through to 8th, and has taught in or facilitated summer programs throughout her career in Florida and the Chicago area. She's a current board member for the Illinois Association of Gifted Children and a busy mom of 3 boys aged 9, 7, and 4. East Main School District 63 is a mid-sized suburban district for pre-K through 8th grade. The district serves around 3,500 students and employs about 280 teachers. It's very proud of its diversity. There are over 75 languages spoken in the district, and 45% of the students are multilingual learners. Next slide, please, Yannick. And then finally, I'd like to introduce you to Kenya Harrington. He is the Executive Director of Academic Achievement at Bedford City School District, which is located around 15 minutes outside of Cleveland, Ohio. He brings 25 years of experience in public education as a teacher, assistant principal, director, and executive director. Kenya holds a Master's of Educational Supervision and Administration degree from Westminster College and is currently pursuing his PhD in Cultural Foundations at Kent State University. Kenya enjoys spending time with his family, reading, and exercising. And then lastly, I want to introduce you to Michael Hagan. If I can have the next slide, please. Michael is the SVP and General Manager of our Literacy Pro and Collections programs at Scholastic Education Solutions. Before I hand over to him, I'm just going to say welcome to all of our panelists and Michael. We look forward to having a very interesting and engaging conversation, but also just to remind everybody, please feel free to use the chat to share your thoughts, suggestions, observations, what's worked for you, what maybe has not worked for you. But we want this to be a conversation. So please use the chat whenever you get a chance, and I will make sure that the panelists get to answer your questions. Okay, Michael, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gordon. All right, here we are. Good afternoon to those of us on the East and Central Time and our partners on the West Coast. Good morning to you all. Thank you for joining us at this time. I know, we all know how very busy your schedules are, having been in the district in similar positions as you all are in. For you to take this time out is critical. It means a lot to us. But I promise you, after hearing from these incredible administrators, you will enjoy it as much as I enjoy speaking to them. And that's what we want this to be, a conversation. And Gordon's going to help me out, and he's going to be checking in the chat if you have questions that come up, and we'll stop throughout the questions and ask questions of you too. And so let's get started so we can really get to hear from all of them. And I can also hear some questions from you all as well. I want to start with asking you all to share with us, what are your goals for a summer program? But before you get into your goals, I want you to talk a little bit about what you do in the district, because I think it's critical for everyone to hear the work that you're doing and what that work means to you. So talk about what you're doing in your district, where you are, and then what are your goals for a summer program? We're going to start with Kenya.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Kenya Harrington, Bedford City Schools, Executive Director of Academic Achievement. Through my department, we focus on all things curriculum and instruction, and then also federal programs, so federal funds, Title I, II, III, IV, and any other grants that may come from our state through the federal government. With that, it enables us to really leverage what we're trying to do with those funds to support the needs of our students. When we think about what we want for our summer, I think our priorities and goals are multifaceted. First, we want to ensure that we're addressing the needs of our students with regard to reading, specifically at those lower levels, lower grade levels for phonics and phonemic awareness, and really just addressing gaps in learning to ensure that there is things in place to support our students when they come back in the fall. Making sure that there's accountability measures to help them understand that things aren't punitive in nature, but the objective is really to expose them to things that support our core curriculum through supplemental resources that are provided through Scholastic, and really help them engage and identify the importance of learning, reading, and continuing to learn throughout the summer months.
Okay, Ken, we're going to dive a little deeper into that in a few more moments. You had a couple of important points that what I heard there. I'm going to go over to Lindsay. Lindsay, first of all, Lindsay, what's the temperature where you are now?
It was 5 degrees this morning when I was driving in.
And the wind chill, you're just so used to it, I'm sure. But
yeah,
Oh,
You get a good warm coat and you're fine.
all right.
Hi,
Someone
good
does what you want.
afternoon.
All right.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lindsay Sudol. So I am the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning in East Main School District 63. Relatively new in this position. I've been here about a year and a half. And a lot of the work that I do has to do with not just summer programming, but looking at year-round, how I can support teachers and learners, pre-K all the way through 8th grade with curriculum. I'm not doing it alone, but summer learning is a piece of what I'm focusing on. And our goals for our summer programs are really first and foremost to design memorable learning experiences. We know how important it is for that emotional piece to carry through into the school year. We want our students to have time over the summer to really develop confidence as learners, and then also to have some time and some opportunities to develop literacy and math skills that they will need in order to be successful in the upcoming year. So we have a variety of programs. We have a multilingual summer scholars program, and the focus of that, or the purpose of that, is obviously to provide students with enriching opportunities that to develop language through reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So using Scholastic Lit Camp, we're able to really offer a lot of those experiences through the team building, the really engaging and rich literature that is a part of that program. We also have a Ready Set Kindergarten program that provides students with kindergarten readiness skills that are entering kindergarten. And then the other program that I'm really proud of too is we really want kids to be able to have that summer camp experience beyond, working on literacy and math. And we offer enrichment classes in the afternoon. So we have a program called Summer Quest, where students can participate in anything from acting to arts and crafts, to, again, reading and writing extensions. So we have a lot going on.
Right, thank you. Let's hear from. You all set, Lindsay?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay, so thank you, Kristen.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Kristen Garini. I'm one of the instructional specialists in Jersey City Public Schools. Primarily, my role is I give professional development to teachers ongoing throughout the year. I work in the curriculum instruction department, and that our goal is I'm working at the district level. However, I work closely within each of our schools. We are one of the largest districts here in New Jersey, with so many students, and my role with our teachers is I come in and I do professional development with them. I do demo lessons with our teachers, giving them best practices to work on throughout the school year. And then I am the district coordinator for our Summer Sparks program, which I'm very proud of. And as Lindsay had said, it's not just myself, it's a huge team that comes together to make sure that we are goal oriented and making sure that we are giving our students the best opportunities throughout the summer. One of our goals for our summer is really enrichment for our students. We want to continue that enrichment, and also quality instruction should continue to go on in the summer. So one of the large parts of what we have, Lindsay also said they are using it. We have Scholastic Lit Camp that is working in our summer program. We're very fortunate for that. And that really continues that quality instruction in the summer for allowing students to participate in read alouds, readers theaters, text-based writing. They're doing different literacy games. And then we also bring in a Scholastic Scholar Zone, and that is bringing in our focused math concepts integrated with literature. Our K-2 are using read alouds, and our 3 to 5 have our Scholastic magazines, which really gives those enrichment opportunities for our students. And one thing that we're also bringing in, we give opportunities for our students, not for the reading, just the reading and the math. We're also giving STEM activities. We have a rotating schedule where our students participate in different STEM objectives. Last year, our K-2, they were creating solar powered crickets and their habitats. And our 3 to 5 students were creating OptiBots, where they created obstacle courses for their students, for their robots. So it really allows for our students have enriching opportunities. We also have opportunities to take part in theater, music, and art. So within our program, we're having all of these opportunities for our students to take part in. So all of their interests are taking part in that. We also want to make sure that there's social interaction for our students. It's not just sitting in a classroom and just listening to reading and math. They're making sure that they're having opportunities to get outside with one another, go visit a park. We have exploration in different parks that our students will be able to go to. And that's really what our goal is to continuing great instruction and giving students a place that they want to be in the summer. A place also where the community gets involved. We are a big district where our community, we want to make sure that we are reaching all parts of our community with being such a large district. We have community members come out throughout our program. They take part in family literacy days. They're coming in and our parents are able to get different resources that they can use that continue that instruction at home that is very much needed. So I find that, I hope that our conversation today really gives some insights to get it up and running for anybody who has questions about running a summer program. So I thank you for having me.
Kristen, when I first moved here to New York City, I actually lived in your district for a year. And I'm so excited to hear all the great things you all are doing and why you're doing it. And before I go on to the next question, Gordon, I saw Joan put something in the chat. What are they doing in their district? And how do they, their goals for the
Yes,
summer?
Joan, Michael, Joan Pajak said that for their early learning program, they continue to keep 2 days of their program academic, 2 days arts and crafts, and 1 day outdoor play each week, which I thought was a kind of interesting combination of academic enrichment. And I put in a question in the chat to ask others, what kinds of academic enrichment activities do you hold? We'd love to learn about those kinds of enrichments that you do.
Yeah, there's so many programs around the country that encourage, we have that play, we have that time for those kids. I'm loving everything that I'm hearing. Did you want anything else you wanted to share, or can I go to the next question, Gordon?
Yeah, I think you can carry on, yes.
So when you're thinking about, and Lindsay, I'm gonna start with you, you're getting ready for summer. Is there planning involved? How does the planning look for you in your district and getting ready for summer?
So for us, for the programs that I mentioned, it's really important that we have high quality staff and resources. So I really, at this point, am working hard to think about how to advertise it. We prioritize having our current teachers teach in our summer programs because we know how important that relationship piece is. And we really value that, then teachers are able to carry that relationship into the school year. So I'm thinking about how I can make sure that I'm getting as many of my staff excited to join our team as possible. And also thinking about that student choice piece. I really think that the more student choice is, the more choices students have about what they're going to participate in over summer, the more excited they're going to be. So especially with respect to our enrichment classes right now, I have a survey that I'm planning to send out to all the students in 4th through 8th grade to see what kinds of classes they would like to participate in over summer. So it's starting to think about those pieces and then also thinking about funding and what's possible, what can we maybe add to and enhance to make it better each year.
And Lindsay, your district is like many of the districts on our webinar today. You have many multilinguals. Is your approach, do you plan differently or in addition to, what do you do to support those students as well?
Well, it definitely comes into play when we're thinking about communication and, how can we make sure that all of our programs are going to reach every one of our community members, focusing on how we can translate as many of our materials as possible and make sure that everyone's aware of all of the programs, using all of our resources within our buildings as well to reach out and interact with as many families as possible. So people are aware of and able to register and sign up. That's really, I think, one of the main pieces. The other thing that we're considering is how we can design programs that are going to be accessible and then also just kind of reflect and honor the diverse cultures that we have in our district. So thinking about that in terms of not just our enrichment, but also our academic programs as well.
Thank you. Kristen, I know you do professional learning, you go from school to school, you work with your teachers, you work with your academic coaches. How do you prepare for summer? What does that look like for you?
So in order for prepare, we do have a collection of us who come together and work together to kind of offset what are our goals for this year. We make those decisions based on data, and we're making informed decisions on data that we received from previous years. Where are we going this year? What do we want? Well, we take that data from our parent surveys, from our student surveys, from our teacher surveys, and we as a collective group come together and say, okay, what are we bringing back and what do we need to change? And I think that's very important to make those informed decisions based on the previous year's information. And as Lindsay was saying, she's doing it right now, getting some of that feedback. And we are lucky enough to have some of that already going out. So I think it's important that any program that we roll out, you need to have that informed decisions on what you're putting in place. One thing to get the communication out that we do, and I think this is very important because we have such a large district, we create a video that is explained all of the program offerings to our students. Our superintendent of schools comes in, and then each one of us are explaining what the program offering will be. We put out a flyer that goes to each of the schools throughout the year, and they are posting on their website. It's done in different languages to making sure that all of our learners, all of our parents have an opportunity to know what is available to them for the upcoming summer. So I think that's very important of getting that information out. We have community leaders within the school buildings where we're allowing parents to come in and giving that support with signing them up for the summer. Not only do they get the information, but they need the support on coming in and helping them get signed up and making sure that they have all the necessary tools as we come into the summer. We also host a parent afternoon where I am able to showcase what will be coming up for the summer, and parents are able to come in, ask questions, and I am too able to support them in signing up for that registration. So that's a large part of getting that information out and really getting it organized. And I think that serves as a very important part in it. We also make sure that our school board members, so we often give presentation to our school board. They do it at our board meetings, let the public know what is coming up for the summer. What are the opportunities that will be in place for their students? And we've gotten a huge feedback from that, and making sure our community knows what's coming up for summer. And of course, reaching out to our teachers, supporting that, letting them understand what is coming up for them, and making sure the word gets out.
Thank you for that. And Kenya, before I get to you, Lindsay, I want to give you the opportunity to share how do you engage the families and share with them that you have all these incredible programs you're doing over summer, what's taking place.
So we also create flyers and different social media posts, et cetera, that we share out once we, to describe each of the programs. But I will say too, a big resource that I think is helpful is to go through the networks that are already within the schools. So we really ask for the multilingual teachers who have built relationships with those families previously to make sure to reach out and share information about any summer programs that we're offering. We communicate, via the school channel and have homeroom teachers share that information and really get students excited about what's coming.
Thank you. And when you're saying you're communicating with the multilingual teachers, are they doing it in different languages?
So we have a lot of technological resources that they use to communicate. So yes, they are sharing information via different languages and translating when possible or when necessary. Yeah, it's such a case-by-case basis, depending on what kind of relationship those teachers have with those families. But yeah, the goal is to make sure that everybody has the information. If they need it translated, it's available to them so that they're aware of what's happening.
Yeah, so that was a valuable lesson for me. And running the schools in New Orleans after Katrina, I sent home everything in English, and we had a large Vietnamese population. And so it was a hard lesson to learn, but so I'm glad you all are doing a much better job than I should have done then. Kenya, how are you planning? And Kenya, I want you to talk about first the plan for summer when you inherited a program. You came into the district new, you did something in one place and something was already there. So how did you plan for summer? What does that look like for you? And especially for our listeners who are also here having the same experience of coming into a district new and they may have to do what you did.
Yeah, I think coming in last year and already having a summer plan in place, I first had to just sit back and observe and see what were the pros and cons per se, and really identify what I wanted to sustain, and then gain insight on why the program existed in the way that it did, and then identify what needed to be added to that, really focusing on our students. So as my panelists kind of alluded to as well, just really going back to what were the needs of the students. Did we have individuals who were behind in grade level? We didn't, again, want it to be strictly about something that seemed punitive, but how do we engage students from, as Kristen said, an enrichment piece, and then really saying, okay, what have we utilized before that we can now continue to utilize? And then how do we have conversation across departments so individuals understand the importance, and it's one district trying to really hone in on our students' needs. I really appreciate what Lindsay talked about with student choice. So we would say something similar. It's about student choice and student voice, because we wanted them to be engaged. We wanted them to understand why it was of value. And then how do we extend that to our parents and our families so there's a clear understanding through our communication why there's a need, why there's a value, and then what's going to happen after the summer months. Because we didn't want it to feel like, oh, this is happening in the summer, there's no connection when we come back during the school year. No, we want to make sure we're clearly articulating what the outcomes are for our students, regardless of what grade band they're coming from. And then if parents had questions or concerns, giving them the opportunity, as Kristen said, to have those questions answered, and then also getting input and feedback from them that's ongoing, because then it allows us to continue to make the corrections we may need to, or even if it's not a correction, adding to what we already have established. And then what do we need to do, again, to sustain that and have momentum and have it viewed in a positive way from our educational community.
And this is what we want to hear when we're going to place our children into a program. What the three of you are sharing with us. I'm also seeing some questions that they have for you, Gordon, in the chat. And you want to share some of that with us?
Yeah, there was one, I was just waiting for a little break there, but thanks, Mike. We get one from Alex. How are you weaving in SEL into summer learning, especially after COVID, and also the importance of building social skills and community? I think that's an interesting question, is how do we address that question
So
of
how they're
building
weaving in
life skills?
social and emotional learning is what they're asking
Yeah,
into the work they're doing. It's a good question, and I want everyone to hear this too, that's listening. We have some states where you can't talk about social and emotional learning. You have other places where it's a part of it. So we would love to hear, for those of you, and I saw Ken, your hand up, want to share how are you weaving in social emotional learning to support the work that you're doing in the summer?
I always say, coming into Bedford City Schools, it was really eye-opening to see the emphasis that was placed on social emotional learning. Outside of just our school counselors, Bedford has a social emotional learning department. So there are social emotional learning instructors, there are behavior therapists, and all of those individuals are included in the planning and development of curriculum aspects, I guess you could say. As it relates to summer, we're making sure that those individuals are staffed just as if we're staffing teachers as well. So we're involving that in the curriculum in the summer. Throughout those conversations, we're always trying to understand how we can utilize our supplemental resources to assist them in their work. So I know for me, when I'm looking at Scholastic and I'm looking at materials, I'm looking at themes that are focused on social emotional learning as well, because that continues to keep that in the forefront of things and allow people in our district and outside of our district to understand that it is of true value and it is something that we do with an intentionality.
The learning continues. You've been doing it all year. It continues through the summer. I love hearing that. Lindsay or Kristen, did you want to add anything?
Yes, of course, I'll add. Jersey City, of course, we have SEL going in our curriculum throughout the school year. It's nothing new, and we just transfer that right into our summer. What's great is that we have both talked about having Scholastic Lit Camp, and Scholastic Lit Camp has that component of SEL right driven in the everyday lesson planning of it. So that is a huge help that we have our teachers involved in that. We also, in our professional development stage, as we lead into the summer, we make sure that we're actually turnkeying ideas to continue SEL in the program throughout the summer, and that is huge. And we have our, of course, dedicated educators who are doing SEL throughout the year. So when we bring it in for the summer, we're having those same teachers present those ideas for SEL and continuing that with our summer program, which has been very beneficial. And of course, with the use of Scholastic Lit Camp, that component continues throughout the summer.
Great. Okay, Lindsay?
Yeah, in our district, we really feel that social emotional learning is important, just as important as academics, because I really feel like that is the driving force behind, students' motivation to learn and perseverance and all of those traits that really make a well-rounded learner. So it's always been a priority in our summer programs, but this was actually a main reason for adopting Scholastic Lit Camp is the social emotional lessons that are embedded within that curriculum are then tied to the books and the stories that they're reading. And so students are able to make the connection, a deeper connection to whatever the social emotional learning topic is, because they're also reading about characters going through similar challenges as they might be facing. So I feel like it's definitely an important part. And I think in some ways it's the part that will hopefully last even more so and carry them into that school year. I keep saying it's almost like those intangibles that really will help students to start in the fall and feel really positive about coming back to school because they had this great experience learning over the summer. So we're consistently trying to just improve those experiences for kids.
Can you talk a little bit more about Lit Camp? Why do you think having a program on a foundation of social emotional learning and the CASEL competencies is important and through Lit Camp? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think that, we, as educators, we really have to be focused on the whole child, right? We have to be focused on their academic growth, but that is it's difficult to make growth academically if you don't have some of those skills inside that are going to help you drive that learning. And so teaching them to learn from mistakes, to be okay failing, teaching them to persevere, to be kind and considerate and listen to others. I think that there's so many pieces of that character education that are integral to really promoting positive academic growth.
It's interesting. I think sometimes we need that for we adults, just same character you just described. And I think it's important that we have it. I think, Kristen, you all are using Lit Camp as well. How are you finding it? And I think you've had it for a few years.
Yes, we've been continuing with Lit Camp. We'll be going into our fourth summer of using Lit Camp. It's been very successful with our teachers and our students. And one thing what we love about Lit Camp too is that our teachers are coming in prepared already for the summer. It's not piecemealing different resources together to put out a program for the summer. It gives them a lesson plan that they are able to follow throughout the summer, and it keeps them goal oriented and what they're working towards for their students. So I find that Lit Camp has really structured us for the summer, and our teachers, we find that more teachers are willing to come out and work for the summer because they know what they're coming into with having Lit Camp. They know that they have structured lessons that they're following along, that they have these SEL components a part of it. And it's really been a success for us here in Jersey City. And that also led to our discussion with, let's make sure we continue with that with our math component. And that's where we then brought in Scholastic Scholar Zone to also support that initiative and making sure that we have structured and quality instruction happening in the summer months as well.
As a professional learning professional, do you see the skills that, let's say the effectiveness that teachers learn through the summer, does that carry over through the fall when they go back into their classrooms with their students in their classrooms? What they've learned in the summer, does any of that carry over?
The students.
For the teachers.
The
I'm thinking
teachers.
for educators.
Absolutely. One thing that we love when we come into our summer program, we visit our sites and we're making sure everything, continues to run very smoothly and our students are engaged. And one thing that we're seeing is that our teachers within our summer camp are constantly in small group instruction, targeted instruction using these resources. And I think that is a huge part of it. We need to make sure that it's not just our whole group approach. We're making sure that students are learning for their targeted needs. So I find that our teachers have this opportunity in the summer in these smaller settings to grapple with the idea of small group instruction and making sure that it's targeted. And we see our students working that way. And then it does filter into what we're seeing in the school year when we're coming back. That is primarily my role as an instructional specialist. I'm coming in, giving that support to our teachers in quality instruction, in best practices, and making sure that targeted small group instruction, that is one thing that we have definitely focused here in Jersey City, is making sure that small group instruction is happening on a daily basis for our students, to making sure that they are making those academic achievements, or they're moving up the scale as we would want.
Achievement is moving. Thank you for that. Gordon, was there another question? Was that?
Actually, there's a question from Davidasa, I think. Her name is, what have you found to be successful strategies for getting and keeping parents involved in the summer programs, and for securing greater parent involvement in the move from summer programming to school year programming?
Very good question. Can you want
Yeah.
to start with that one? I know the work you do in the community and how you want them to learn about the programs, and you're clear on your objectives and your goals. How do you keep them involved? How do you transition to the fall?
Yeah, during the summer, I think I kind of said it earlier. We're actually surveying our parents so we can get feedback from them, because that feedback is going to continue to let us develop in a meaningful way in their eyes. And as we transition back into the school year, we're keeping the focus on academics, but we're also keeping the focus on collaboration. Therefore, we're having literacy nights. We're including parents in the opportunities to read to their students or to their children. Again, we're trying to make sure that through their lens, they see themselves as a partner and a resource for not just their own children, but for our entire school district. So it's really just making sure that as they have been made aware of things, now you're able to allow them to provide feedback and be at the table during the decision-making process. I think a lot of times we focus on what does it look like for PTA, but it has to extend beyond PTA, and it has to really be about those initiatives that you're trying to create. So they have a clear understanding. And again, they can bring a voice to the table that sometimes is a miss because we're looking at it from maybe one or two lenses from the education sector. But we need to make sure from the home and community sector, there's a clear understanding as well. So those are the things that we've continued to do.
I love it. Lindsay, coming from St. Louis and Baton Rouge, where we had very diverse communities, and we wanted to keep the parents involved. Can you give us advice? One of the participants asked, how do you keep them involved, especially with summer and then getting ready to start school in the fall?
So for this particular challenge, we've really had to be creative. Back in the summer of 2021, our district was deciding what to do, what we could provide in addition to programming that we offered currently, but something else that we could provide to the entire district to support with any learning loss and that recovery. So we actually, at that time, this was prior to me being in this role and in this district, partnered with Scholastic to create a program in which the students could choose books that they would then get to take home and own at the end of the school year. And so we have continued that program. It's now a part of our district. And it's really incredible because we have, such an amazing community, but we know that not everyone is able to buy for their kids the newest, most exciting titles. And so, our students are able to go home in May with 12, 9, or 7, a stack of like the newest exciting books that they were able to choose and select. And then we're building those libraries at home for those families to be to read with their children. And that to us is invaluable and so important. So it's a program that we're really excited and proud of, and excited to just continue.
Absolutely.
Can I, Michael, can I interject?
Yes.
I just really want to commend Lindsay because we do something similar. I like to say I borrowed the idea from Columbus City Schools when I was at a conference. And in my previous district, Akron City Schools, we started that home library initiative, and we've continued it in Bedford. So to hear that someone, you know, in another state has the same focus, that really kind of shows you that importance and that value. So I just wanted to commend her and say, I'm glad to hear that.
I'll
Absolutely.
definitely pass it on. It's a team effort.
I saw some hearts going up on the screen as well. So great job. Kristen, you want to talk about how you keep engaged in families, especially in Jersey City, given where you're surrounded, given the size of your district for your state? I know that can be some difficult work.
Yes, it is. And we have many different sites where we're hosting our Sparks Camp. And one thing that we request of each site is that there's a weekly newsletter that goes home to parents, and it highlights the work that is done at each of those sites, that what's going on. Pictures are taken of our students, surveys are taken throughout the students, and all of that information goes out weekly to parents. So they are involved exactly on what the students were learning that week, what were they participating in their extracurricular activities. So it's really a wonderful way to engage with our parents so they're involved right away. And one thing we initiated this year is we have actually the surveys at the end of the program, but we actually started to include them on our weekly newsletters as well. So we were getting immediate response back. We weren't waiting till the end of the program. So if there were any adjustments that needed to be made, we were able to do that weekly. So I think that was a huge success for us. And as I mentioned earlier, we also host family literacy and math afternoons in the summer, which is widely popular. We have a great turnout of our parents, and they're coming in to work with their students, with their children during the afternoon, and then they're walking away with resources. They're walking away with books. They're walking away with reading strategies that they can initiate at home with their children. And that is a huge part of our community and what we want to have involved. That leads into the school year where we continue this initiative with community involvement. We host parent informational nights where parents are coming out, and we as a team, we're sharing out what's going on in the buildings, what curriculum updates have we made. So they are also aware of the educational movements that we're making within the district. And I think that is widely popular with our families as well. And then we are now kicking off initiatives where we're hosting family literacy days at the school level. For myself, I can speak on behalf of our ELA curriculum and instruction department. We host a family literacy event for the entire district that we come out, and there's tons of games and activities. And this is an opportunity, again, at a larger scale, to showcase how a family literacy event could happen, which then resonates, and then our school buildings are continuing that and getting their parent involvement. So, we've done a lot of things here in Jersey City, and with being such a large district, any and all communication with our parent partners, that's what it's all about. We want them to know that we're listening to them and they are heard, and we're here to do the very best for their children.
Those family literacy events are critical. Gordon, I hope you're sharing with our participants what those are and how they can get access to them, because it comes in a kit and it just really helps the community and the teachers and the administrators to put something on that they don't have to do so much work. But as you can hear from Kristen, they're critical to have. Gordon, how much time do I have? Because I want to take, I'm hearing some things that I want to take a liberty to ask another question. How we're doing?
We are at basically 15 minutes before the end. There is a question about funding from somebody, but I wanted to check in with you at this point to see whether you want to maybe return to that after you focus on your next questions.
No, let's take the question on
Okay.
funding.
Yeah, from
And-
Susan Farrelly, she asked, how do you fund the purchasing of all these books? And then there's a separate question for us. The Scholastic published in several languages, and I think you're probably well placed to answer that question. But that's her question.
Okay, well, I'll start with our panelists first, and Kim, you want to share with how which is a really important question, because I want you all to remember you have districts from around the country, from LA for district sizes of 625,000 students to 3,000 students. How are you all funding this? And especially year after year after year. And Ken, you want to start for us?
Yeah, for us, we're first looking at our building Title I budgets. We have a process which we consider our program design, and really it's just sitting down with our principals and allowing them to have that voice to talk about what their needs are, and then us providing guidance as well. So a lot of times it may be through the Title I building budget. It may be through Title IV if we're looking at something from an SEL lens. At one point in time in Ohio, we had what was considered the School Quality Improvement Grant. So we utilized funds from that. And then in response to COVID, there were ESSER funds that allowed us to address aspects of learning loss and a continuation of educational needs for our students. So those are the different funding sources we're really trying to leverage to be intentional in what things look like for our students. It may look different at the elementary, middle, and high school level as it relates to which funding source, but at the end, our objective is to make sure that we're providing the necessary resources to continue to support those needs. And the home library initiative, going back to that, that was a big one. And we just utilized several different funding sources because similar to Lindsay, what we were trying to do is have that happen during the school year. So at the, each semester we're sending home books. So we're just leveraging the funds in that regard.
When do you leverage your funds for summer? Do you do that at the beginning of the year in August, September, or do you wait? When do you start leveraging those funds?
So for us in the summer months, we're already pre-planning.
For the next summer?
Yep. So for individuals who are familiar with federal dollars, a lot of times you have what's considered carryover funds. So we're already pre-planning a year and a half in advance, understanding, reaching out to those individuals who support our work and just making sure, okay, we know we're going to utilize this here and this here.
Excellent. Kristen, you want to share how are you all using funding? And I know you've had programs for many years there and those camps. How are you all taking care of this through funding?
So very similar to what Kenya had also mentioned, we were fortunate enough that the positive that came out from COVID is that you did have ESSER funds. So currently that is what is funding our summer program. We come together as a committee, we write a budget, we make sure, that we're able to sustain it. We're definitely in the talks of sustaining it after ESSER, because really we're in our final stages of using that ESSER monies this coming summer. So that really has been the forefront of what we've been using to be able to have such a robust summer program. But that's what it was about. This is where Sparks was driven from. How do we re-engage our students? And that is what we wanted, that we wanted to spend the money that would be beneficial for our students, getting them back in the summer. And actually, the summer program was the initiative that got us set up for the school year. How are we getting students back in to those classrooms? How are we making it work? And this is really the platform in which we were able to do it. And that really is where our money is primarily done so.
All right, Lindsay?
Yeah, so similar to both Kenya and Kristen, we were using for the self-select, the My Book Summer, we were using ESSER funds, and that's something that, really luckily we have a very supportive school board. And so they are, like I said, it's become a part of our district now. And so we're committed to making it work, and we'll be looking at other sources that we can use to continue to fund it moving forward. But as far as our summer programs, we use a variety of grants. We have, our different programs that are catered to different learners. And so we're able to kind of, use a combination of sources to get done what we need to get done.
Thank you all. I have on my desk, I'm coming to you from my office here in New York, stacks of books all around me, and behind me books, all around me books. I have the pleasure of being able, and it's an honor and a privilege to be able to read for a living and have books all around me. And I have my summer reading list, those books that I want to read outside of the children's book. And it's again a pleasure to be able to have that. Why is it important to you all that children, and some of you touched on this, have in-home libraries as well as libraries in the classroom? Why is it important for kids to go home in the summer and have books at home for the summer? You want to start that for us, Kenya?
I think research has shown that those students who have books in their homes achieve better. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think all of us as educators understand that and have heard that. I think also just showing the students the importance of reading and changing the narrative for them from it being something that I have to do to something that you can enjoy doing. I think when we ourselves have children, I'm blessed to have a lot of children. That's a dad joke, so some people probably laughed. But my children themselves being different, I have some who just love to read on their own, and others who, yeah, I don't want to do that. So it's getting literature that they find meaningful and relevant first. And then once they get that, now that passion is theirs and they can take that on their own. And I think that's the same verbiage we need to have with our families and with our students, because if we don't expose it to them outside of just the traditional school day, they'll never understand what they can really obtain from it. So I think that's the importance from my vantage point.
All right. Kristen, you want to add to that?
Yeah, he's definitely hitting the points that I think we all are understanding of a home library for our students. You know, we build that library throughout the school year, as I was saying, because of the community involvement that we have. You know, we're doing different events throughout the year where those books are already going home throughout the year. That's building up in the summer months. And it's important for our students to have it because they want to see themselves in the literature that they're reading. So we have to be intentional with the books that are going home to them as well. And I think that's very important. I think that's many of the choices that we've made throughout this school year is that intentional of thinking of our populations. What are the books that are going home to them? And I think that's very important in our initiative in getting those home libraries up and running. One positive that we have here in Jersey City is that we have an ebook library. And of course, we want those handheld, but we are fortunate enough that all of our students have devices at home. During COVID, we were able to get one-on-one devices in school as well as at home. So students have a plethora of an ebook community to go home to and have that opportunity to read those books that they're interested in. This ebook community also allows students to have books read authentically to them as well, you know, to give that additional support at home. So that is huge for our population of students. So we're very proud of making sure that those communities have a built library at home. And I think that's something that everyone should continue to establish for our students. It's very important.
Thank you for that. Lindsay, someone was asking, do we have the books in other languages? And so we have take-home books that are in English and in Spanish. And so I would love to have, I know in Newark, New Jersey, there's a large Portuguese population, and the French is highly spoken in Louisiana. German is highly spoken in Ohio. And so love to have those languages too, but right now we offer books for the summer in English and in Spanish. And what I love about the books that are in Spanish, they're not translated, they're transadaptive. So they're authentic text in that language, which is critical and important as well. But we're working on other smaller series where we're doing bilingual books that will go home to families as well, that you're going to be hearing about from your partners at Scholastic. Our first collection is called Our Community, the Haitian Heritage Collection. So the books will be sharing about the beautiful community and culture of Haiti. And the books, some of the books will be in English and in Haitian Creole. We'll do the same thing with, not Portuguese, but eventually Portuguese, but we're going to do the Philippines, and then we're going to do Mandarin, we're going to do Arabic, we're going to do Portuguese and others to follow. So that's coming. But in the meanwhile, we do have them in English and Spanish. And I'm wondering, with your district, Lindsay, is it important for you all to build home libraries too? Because we know all the students, no matter what language they're speaking, they still have to come to classes in English.
Yeah, we look at it as an opportunity to empower our community, our students and their families, you know, to develop that love of learning, to develop creative and critical thinking, seeing themselves reflected in the books that they're getting to take home, but also at the same time, learning about different perspectives and just I think it all comes back to that SEL piece that we keep saying is so important and integral to summer programs. I think it also is so integral to developing readers. And, when you empower students by giving them access to books of their choosing that they are excited to read, you're just continuing to develop those positive experiences around reading. And that ultimately leads to greater academic achievement too.
Absolutely. And for those of you that want to give children choice, especially for the summer, start early so that they can have enough time, your scholastic partners, to get the books together and have them shipped to your schools, because that choice is really critical. And you have to see it. It's nothing like having all the books laid out and the kids get to pick 5 and they're going through picking their books. And I love it when they say, can I have 6? Can I have another? Can I have another? It's just an amazing, amazing feeling for those kids to be able to do that. If you want to have that, make sure you get started early on that. And so, Gordon, I always try to stay on time, but I do want to ask one last quick question of our panelists before I say thank you and turn it back over to you is, we heard about what you're doing with camps, with literacy, with math over the summer, how you're accelerating learning, how the learning is continuing, how you're building those skills and that knowledge to start them in the fall, how you engage families, why it's important for books to go home, start these in-home libraries, match their classroom libraries, look like themselves, and they're learning about others. How are you measuring all of this for success? How are you measuring this? Just really quickly, if you can, for us. We're going to start with you, Kristen.
So we're fortunate enough, we have a diagnostic assessment that is used throughout the school year. And this diagnostic assessment, one of our summer ones, we're leading into the summer. So it's not an additional assessment that we have to give students in the summer. Students are actually assessed in end of May, early June. So we have that assessment data going into the summer, and that data is given to our teachers, so they are able to use that data to make informed decisions in the classroom. And then after the summer, we again give that diagnostic assessment, and we are coming into the fall with the administration of that diagnostic assessment to make those continued informed decisions. And we can look at the students who have been a part of our summer program and see the successes that they're making, and continue to give teachers professional development on using that data to make informed decisions.
Make informed decisions. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Lindsay?
So we also have a benchmark assessment that's given 3 times a year. And so that's one way that we are able to zoom in on those students who attended summer programs and really take a look at academic gains that happened over the summer when we provide that assessment in the fall. But each program also has its own objectives. And so, we're definitely looking at the WIDA standards when assessing our multilingual learners during their summer program. We're looking at how they're growing in listening, reading, speaking, and writing.
Yes.
And then our kindergarten readiness program, we're looking at those kindergarten readiness skills. Are they ready? What growth have they shown over the course of this summer program to prepare them for kindergarten?
Thank you for that. Kenya, real quickly, before we go.
So,
benchmarks.
Yeah, same thing as the ladies, but I will add one change to that. Also, we're measuring success on that feedback that we talked about from our parents, our students, and then also our teachers. So we want to make sure we're looking at the data to be informed of what we're going to, do for our students in the future. But we also want to make sure that individuals are finding value in what we have in place. And we want to make sure that that's heard, because that also assists in what that looks like.
All right, thank you all. Participants, can you, in your reaction, can you give our panel applause for us? Thank you all for sharing this incredible information. Thank you all for listening in and taking the time to do this. And I want to especially thank Gordon for really putting all this together and bringing these great panelists to us to hear from. Gordon, I'm going to take it from there. You can take it from.
Thank you, Michael, Kristen, Lindsay, and Kenya. Thank you so much. We have a quick poll question coming up. We'd love to continue a conversation with you. Please fill that in. But I just want to commend everybody today for such a great job, and for you, Michael, for hosting and moderating and keeping the conversation flowing. It was really engaging, exciting to hear, to learn more about how you deal with parental involvement, about building home libraries, and just some of your challenges and your strategies. So I'm going to say once again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. we have, I'm going to leave this poll up for a little longer. I know we've hit the hour, but anybody who can, please continue to complete that. But yeah, thank you, everybody. This was great.
Thank you again, everyone.